Wicked. So today's actually been a very good day. So a little bit of an announcement. So I passed my funding assessment today. Very happy about that. Um, this week alone, just started yesterday, had a trade on GBP Aussie, 4.41% profit, and then also had another trade, CADGen, 12.64% trade today as well. So that's been really good. Have a little look at the DXY. So no surprise actually, I see this happen quite a lot with the DXY as well, where DXY just doesn't quite complete its pattern and just sells off. It is what it is. Gives us that more, so that continuation that we're looking at now. So DXY is pretty much in this area here. Can it come back up? It's possible, but with this drip, I've seen it just continue and just sell off. What's really interesting is USD yen. Honestly, boss pair, but didn't capitalize on that. So just going through DXY. So pretty simple. We had this sort of running channel sort of vibe. We pushed down, then we created this sort of squeeze, and then we sold off here. So at the moment, this is not really the forecast anymore. We're kind of just looking at something more so in here. This doesn't really hold any major weight anyway, because we do have an inflection point over here that we could tap into. So we could actually tap in here and then just come back up aggressively, which would not be uncommon. However, given the circumstance that we have this override zone here, which is a little bit more off a point that I think sticks out, if we don't come off here, is we can come down here pretty aggressively. So that's something I'll be looking at on the DXY. For the watch list, I've got Euro USD. Now, no surprise that Euro USD has just pushed aggressively through this. With it being pushed so aggressively, if we don't get a retrace back in and maybe a flag over here, then what we could potentially see is just price continues to move up more aggressively to the high. Completely cool with that as well. So Euro USD and DXY is pretty much back the same. GBP Aussie. GBP Aussie is pretty nice. I mean, I was in a short in here yesterday. I was contemplating another short in here as well, which is quite interesting if we get into a little bit of a lower time frame. There was a little bit of a flag over here. So this little squeeze over here is what I was contemplating getting another short in. There was this short, which I got involved over here. And then there was the more aggressive short, which was over here. Once again, so many good trades on the table. You had this sort of hook, sort of this point here, pulled back up, tapped into that, sort of scooped, didn't quite make it, came back down, created this flag. We could say that we are sitting on this low, which we are, but if we do plummet through this, there's a high probability, and we did, and then we came back and retested it and couldn't commit. So at this point here, there would have been an entry as well for this to commit. So GA was pretty nice. EJ, just like many other yen pairs, just aggressively just sold off. I don't think there was any way to really have captured this otherwise, looking at sort of this point here saying we tapped into this and then we started coming down. Same with CADGen. CADGen was more structurally more rewarding for myself. So I was pretty much out of this now, but so we had this 1, 2, 3 section over here, which didn't have to be the highly probable because this was a weak point over here. However, we did have the override. So the override was over here, and then we had this middle section, which was really nice. I did also have a trade in here, but I got out somewhere around about here just because, I don't think I wanted to hold it that long, but really nice trade anyway. Had the middle section played out, pushed up over here, and then we sold back down aggressively, which makes so much sense. As we approached here, I kind of refined it a little bit more, and the way I saw this was, as we're squeezing through here, this definitely had enough room to look like it was going to come long, but given the higher time frame, it just didn't really have that. So looking at this structure here, there was this sort of vibe where this could have been the sort of entry, but as it was in the middle of here, and we had this little scoop, I thought, okay, if we have another little scoop here, then it'll be probable that we might come back all the way up here before we even do that. But what we did have was, we had this sort of very corrective squeeze. We tapped two bottoms, came back up, and then I was like, okay, I'm not really going to call the top, but let's just say that it comes back up here, and we had two bottoms, And then as we scooped up here and we tapped into that bit there, that's where it entered the market on that candle right there. And we kind of sold off. And then as we pushed back up, I was like, this trend line's here. If that pierces this trend line, then perhaps maybe that wick could protect me. And then the final wick would be there, as long as spreads don't go crazy. And then honestly, spreads were insane. Like, let me just lock this one out. But as you can see, it was a 12.39% position, 11 pip, sorry. Pushed down aggressively. As we reached this low, I was managing on the 1 hour. As we reached this low here, we tapped in. I just moved my stop loss just right above structure and just said, if we move down more aggressively, cool, it is what it is. But if we pull back up, I don't want to sit in this market for it to just get a little bit more messy or larger structure to form, so I can always get re-entered in the market if I need to. I'm not too bothered. 12% is a tremendously good percentage for someone like myself, so I was happy with that. But yeah, just looking at this, right, what I was actually looking at, and it's quite nice to know for live market, is as price was here, the spreads were going crazy. Spreads was like here, and then here, and then here, and then here. Spread was just going crazy, and the price was just literally sitting there. But the spreads was going mad, honestly. And my stop loss was probably way up here. But at one point, spread even came up here, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like if I measure that in and say it was from here to here, yeah, about 12 pips spread, could have easily just tagged me out, and probably did tag a lot of people out before we went, for people who got in late, but still, honestly, phenomenal position. So I was very lucky I got in the position over here, because anywhere over here I definitely would have been tagged out with the amount of stop loss I used. So that's CJ. Am I expecting more short on CJ? Absolutely. It's one I've been looking at. If you go back through my previous videos, my Sunday market breakdown and so forth last week, it's one I've been eyeing up for a long time. Just as we forecast, took a little bit of time to play out, evolved quite a lot, but we stayed with the market, and it shows that patience pays. Euro Aussie, same situation, as GA. We just kind of tapped into that bit up there and we sold off, kind of in line with what we were originally forecasting. I am waiting for the larger play on EA. Hopefully we do get that buy. Would I have loved to get into the short? Absolutely. If this short played out, I've been phenomenal, but it is what it is. New Zealand yen. So it didn't really get that sort of major commitment that I'm looking at across the board. I think it's a bit of a slow one, but I think this one is going to be ready to commit shortly. I don't know if I'll be able to catch the trade, because it's not really giving me any sort of clear entry, but it's looking really nice. Euro GBP, back to Euro Yen quickly before I move on. We have that 1, 2, 3. It's basically filled what it needs to fill in now, and it's going to be making its way back down. I'm just going to wait for a little bit more commitment. I don't want to get tagged in and it just starts trickling. So just wait for a little bit more, get that AFT or 15-minute flag, and that's what I'm looking for. EG, still waiting for it to tap into the HVA, push back up and a flag. GU is looking like it's on the override now. Still needs some sort of push down and a flag. Going to the 1 hour, it looks like we are kind of giving it that sort of curvature back down. But at the moment, because of how price structure is formed, I'm not going to be fully entitled to take a trade, but it does look like we have a head and shoulders there on the 5-minute, which is not really what I'll be looking for. This one could play out. It needs some time, but it's looking good. Needs a push down and a flag for me. GBP New Zealand looks like we could be on the buy. In fact, the buy looks like it could be very probable. GBP New Zealand, what a trade. This is one I'm going to be keeping an eye on. It could be a nice AFT entry in there. I mean, I've just passed my challenge. I'm not going to be jumping on a trade immediately, even though I'm in a good flow of things. At the end of the day, it's no rush. If I miss it, I miss it. There'll be plenty of opportunity. I did miss this one here. It was as Friday market closed, and then we had this little scoop down here on the Monday, and then that was the trade that I would have probably opted in for, because there was enough risk reward to be taking this. Unfortunately, I didn't. So, I think if I did take it, I probably would have walked away with 1.5. So, not major profit, but still. UJ, just like a few other pairs, just pushed down aggressively as the yen pairs did. Swiss yen, though. Swiss yen sold off aggressively, and so did EJ, which it's a little bit of a shame, to be honest, because they were doing so well. But it's no surprise, I think what it's going to do is find a floor in somewhere around here. 90% rule, and then we'll go up long again. So that one's one to wait, and I haven't actually looked at silver. Silver's one that was just kind of, I picked it. I was hoping for solid push down on the flag. Nothing yet has really materialized on it, so I've kind of just left it as it is. But Swiss silver is looking good. It needs some little bit more time to materialize. Could just keep trickling up, but then eventually, I think I'll get some good final ending structure, and then the cards will reveal themselves. So at the moment today, I've only got GA on watch now, CJ, and NJ. I think EA is definitely one that I could. Nah, I think, yeah, I'm happy with what I got on watch. I'm not going to really mess about with it. I think GU is definitely one that people need to keep an eye on, because I think GU can surprise us and really get aggressive. So I'll be keeping that one in mind too. But for now, have a good week, and we'll catch up.